Welcome to World News at 4. I am Jessica Magaji Joseph. First, the headlines. Tinubu rallies NSA, monarchs as hunger protest looms. South Africa appoints first woman Chief Justice. U.S. arrests Mexican drug lord El Mayor and El Chapo's son in Texas. And on sports, Everton signed Napoli midfielder Lindstrom on loan. Now the news in detail. Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu on Thursday held emergency meetings with the All Progressive Congress state governors, prominent traditional rulers and ulamas at the Aso Rock Villa, Abuja, as part of efforts by the government to ensure the planned hunger protest slated for August 1st to 10 is averted nationwide. The meetings come after growing calls for the anti-hunger protest following widespread economic hardships to the country. The protests, which are being organized under the hashtag #EndBadGovernance, have gained significant traction on social media, even as organizers remain unknown, with no group officially claiming responsibility. Former presidential candidate of the African Action Congress, Omoyele Sowore, has dared Nyesom Wike, Minister of the FCT, for saying that Abuja is not available for protest on August 1st. Sowore, in a post on his X handle on Friday, said the proposed nationwide protest will start from Abuja. He said it is starting from and in Abuja. Sowore's statement comes after Wike said that August 1st had been set aside for the chairman of the 6 area councils of the FCT to give out certificates of recognition to their traditional rulers. The minister gave the warning while briefing news on the outcome of the FCT Security Council meeting in Abuja on Thursday. Nigerians are mobilizing for nationwide protests slated for August 1st to August 10, 2024, tagged #EndBadGovernance. Organizers of the protest have lamented about widespread hunger and inflation in the country. Officials from the Nasarawa State Ministry of Environment and Natural Resources, along with traditional rulers, have been accused of aiding and abetting illegal mining activities within the state. The allegations were made by the chairman of the House Committee on Environment, Adamu Omadefu, during a recent plenary session in Lafia, in a motion of public importance sponsored by Daniel Ogazi. Ogazi expressed concern that the criminal activities are being carried out with the connivance of ministry officials. Omadefu described the situation as worrisome and called for a concerted effort among stakeholders to eliminate illegal mining in Nasarawa State. Adding to the discussion, Musa Ibrahim, a former Commissioner of Environment and Natural Resources and current representative of Doma South constituency, explained that illegal miners cannot operate without the knowledge of officials. Ibrahim alleged that government officials and community leaders are being bribed with US dollars to facilitate these illegal activities. The federal government has repatriated 158 irregular Nigerian migrants from Libya. Nigeria's charged the affairs to Libya, Ambassador Mohammed, made this known in a statement on Wednesday. Mohammed said that the evacuees comprise 77 males, 45 females, 26 children and 10 infants. The envoy explained that the total number, 26 males, were arrested from the ongoing raid of undocumented foreigners in Libya and were released from Abu Salim Detention Center in Tripoli. According to him, so far, 1,776 stranded Nigerians have returned home. Mohammed said that the repatriation was a collaborative effort of the mission and the Libyan authorities. He said that the collaboration was under the International Organization of Migration, under the organization's voluntary humanitarian repatriation. The FCT Police Command announced on Friday that in anticipation of a planned nationwide protest by human rights activists and Nigerian youths against hunger and hardship, it has proactively deployed both material and human resources across the nation's capital. The proactive deployment aims to ensure public safety, protect protesters, and prevent protests from being hijacked by non-state actors. It includes visibility policing and the deployment of explosive ordnance device experts and personnel at various strategic locations. Additionally, operatives will conduct raids on identified black spots, uncompleted buildings and shanties, They will also engage in stop and search operations, vehicular and foot patrols, and maintain synergy with sister security agencies. The Commissioner of Police, FCT, Bennett Igwe, while acknowledging the residents' right to protest, advises that protests should remain peaceful. In a statement by Josephine Ade, the spokesperson, said the CP vows to resist all forms of violent protest and lawlessness, as the police will not be stampeded into allowing the destruction of public and private properties or loss of lives. The Anambra State Command of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps said it is strategizing among its personnel and critical stakeholders to prevent vandalism of public assets in the state ahead of the nationwide protest across the country. The state commandant, NSCDC, Maku Olatunde, in a statement said the command convened a strategic meeting of all area commanders, divisional officers, heads of formations and tactical commanders at the state command headquarters in Akwa in order to achieve the aim. Olatunde said the move was in anticipation of the planned nationwide protest aimed to develop effective measures to protect critical national assets and infrastructure, prevent the breakdown of law and order, and ensure a unified response to potential security challenges. He wants supervisory officers to maintain utmost vigilance and assume full responsibility for the security and protection of assets. He said the command appealed to protest organizers to consider alternative lawful channels for articulating grievances, cautioned against infiltration by undesirable elements, including miscreants, hoodlums, and anti-progressive individuals. When we return, news from other parts of Africa. Please stay with us. Welcome back. President Cyril Ramaphosa named Mandisa Maya, the current Deputy Chief Justice, as the country's new most senior judge. Her term is due to start on September 1st, when she replaces Chief Justice Raymond Zondo as the head of the Apex Constitutional Court. Maya, 60, previously served as the Judge President of the Supreme Court of Appeal, the second highest court in South Africa, before her promotion to the Constitutional Court. She was the first black woman to be appointed a judge of the Supreme Court of Appeal and the first woman to be appointed deputy president and then president of that court. Ramaphosa nominated Maya for Chief Justice in February, and she was interviewed by the Judicial Services Commission in May. The commission recommended her and noted her appointment would be a significant milestone for the country, Ramaphosa said in a statement. Sudan's Agriculture Minister, Abubakar al-Bushra, denied that there is a famine in the country, challenging UN report that 755,000 people are facing severe hunger. He also rejected the idea of allowing aid agencies to bypass border restrictions to deliver help. The ongoing conflict between the Sudanese army and the paramilitary rapid support forces has led to a severe hunger crisis. The army has blocked aid from reaching areas controlled by the RSF, where supplies are often stolen by RSF soldiers. Speaking in Port Sudan, al-Bushra argued that 755,000 people are a small fraction of Sudan's 50 million population and cast doubt on the accuracy of the hunger data in RSF-controlled areas. The UN's Integrated Food Security Phase classification reported that 14 areas in Sudan are at risk of famine, which can be declared if hunger and malnutrition reach critical levels. Al-Bushra opposed potential UN Security Council orders to override army restrictions on aid deliveries, fearing it could open borders controlled by militias. Aid agencies report that the only authorized crossing into the famine-threatened Darfur region is blocked by rains, while the army-controlled Andre crossing remains off-limits. We move to other parts of the world after this break. Please stay with us.
This is Hillstv. Quality broadcasting is what we'll bring to you. Now we be this our
Welcome back. Mexican drug kingpin Ismael El Mayo Zambada and the son of his former partner Joaquin El Chapo Guzman were arrested on Thursday in El Paso, Texas, in a major coup for U.S. authorities that may also reshape the Mexican criminal landscape. Zambada is one of the most consequential traffickers in Mexico history and co-founded the Sinaloa cartel with El Chapo, who was extradited to the United States in 2017 and is serving a life sentence in a maximum security prison. Both Zambada and Joaquin Guzman Lopez, the son of El Chapo, face multiple charges in the U.S. for funneling huge quantities of drugs to U.S. streets, including fentanyl, which has surged to become the leading cause of death for Americans between the age of 18 and 45. Zambada, who is believed to be in his 70s, and Guzman Lopez, who is in his 30s, were detained after landing in a private plane in the El Paso area. Zambada was lured to the United States by Guzman Lopez, according to 3 current and former U.S. officials familiar with the operation who sought anonymity to speak candidly about the event. U.S. authorities have made drug bosses key targets, frequently striking plea bargain deals with them in exchange for information that leads to capture of other high-ranking cartel figures. Russia has begun including new, cheaply made drones in its long-range attacks on Ukraine to try to identify air defenses, film and damages and act as decoys, a Ukrainian military spy official said. The 2 new types of drone, which Russia has used in 5 drone attacks in the last 2 to 3 weeks, including an overnight strike, are produced from materials like foam plastic and plywood. One type carries a camera and a Ukrainian mobile phone SIM card to send images back to the Russian military. They identified where mobile groups are positioned, where the machine guns are that can destroy them, Andriy Chernik, a military spy agency spokesperson, disclosed. The previously unreported details from Chernik are further evidence of Russia seeking to adapt its tactics and try new technology to gain an edge during its daily missile and drone strikes on Ukrainian cities and infrastructure. Iranian-designed Shahid attack drones which fly to their target and detonate on impact have become a staple of Russian area attacks since they began being used in the first year of Russia's full-scale invasion launched in February 2022. Up next is business. Please stay with us. Welcome back. On business, after a period of stagnation, Africa's refinery sector is showing signs of resurgence, driven by significant capacity expansions in Nigeria, Ghana, and Angola. A new report states the transformative potential of this growth, which is expected to enhance energy security and boost economic development across the region. The recent wave of refinery development marks a significant shift for Africa, said Sohail Aboud, business expert. Moreover, the continuing interest in modular projects in West Africa is likely to sustain capacity growth in the short and medium terms. While challenges persist, including access to capital and securing crude oil feedstock, the benefit of investing in new facilities and upgrading existing infrastructure extends beyond economic gains, enhancing energy security and stabilizing local markets. Mexico is seeking to import more motor fuel for next year than it had previously planned to compensate for delays in the startup of its new Omelca refinery. Half a dozen traders said, marketing an about ton by state energy company Pemex, the purchases for next year signal that the refinery will not be ready anytime soon, a damper on the legacy of outgoing President Andres Manuel Lopez, who commissioned it after he was elected in 2018 to win the country of expensive imports. Pemex, the most indebted among peers worldwide, is a major crude producer but relies heavily on gasoline and diesel imports because its 6 aging refineries struggle to process its heavy Maya crude, producing instead record amounts of fuel oil. Earlier this year, Pemex had indicated to suppliers that it planned to significantly cut imports of both fuels because the 340,000 barrel per day refinery would finally work at capacity, the market sources said. Imports of Iranian crude have been flowing into the port and refining city of Dalian since last year, tanker tracking firms and trading sources said, helping sustain the country's purchases of the oil at near record levels. The shift has happened as demand for Iranian crude from small buyers in the independent refining hub of Shandong province has waned in the face of deteriorating refining margins, squeezed by higher crude prices but weaker than expected, fuel demand traders said. They have been Iran's main buyers in China since 2019. Iran, including its oil, is subject to U.S. sanctions reinstated in 2018 over concerns about its nuclear program. But China did not stop buying Iranian oil, with margin-driven independent plants filing a vacuum left by sanctions real estate firms. Patexa, a consultancy that tracks tanker flows, said 23 cargoes, or a total of 45 million barrels of Iranian oil, was discharged at Dalian between October 2023 and June 2024. Still to come, sports. Please stay with us. Thanks for staying with us. And on sport, in the run-up to the Paris Olympics, athletes have been stepping up their preparations in order to maintain their edge over competitors. But for Australia's Matt Dawson, those preparations looked a little different this year, with the field hockey player opting to have part of his finger amputated in order to compete in the games. The 30-year-old Dawson injured the ring finger of his right hand after being struck by a hockey stick in a practice match just 2 weeks before he was due to represent the Kookaburras in Paris in what would be his third Olympic appearance. The impact left the top of his finger almost entirely severed and had his Olympic dreams hanging in the balance. Everton have signed Napoli midfielder Jasper Lindstrom on a season-long loan. The 24-year-old's deal includes an option for the Toffees to permanently buy the Denmark international. Lindstrom, who has been capped 16 times by his country, played 29 games for Napoli last season after signing from German side Eintracht Frankfurt in 2023. Lindstrom started Eintracht Frankfurt's Europa League final victory over Rangers in 2022, scoring 12 goals in 57 Bundesliga games before his move to Italy. The versatile midfielder failed to score in his first season for Napoli and struggled for game time at the end of last season. Seven-time Olympic swimming champion Caleb Dressel says he is not confident rivals are not doping at the Paris Olympics. The build-up to the Games swimming event has been overshadowed by the continuing row over positive drugs tests from 23 Chinese athletes in the run-up to the last Olympics. Earlier this month, reports backed the decision not to dispute Chinese authorities claimed the swimmers ingested trimetazidine by contamination. 11 of those swimmers will compete for China in Paris. Dressel is one of the most high-profile names in the U.S. Olympic squad, having won 2 Olympics gold in 2016 and 5 in Tokyo, and his damning comments come a day before the Games are officially opened on. Andy Murray has withdrawn from the singles competition in the Olympics but will play doubles in Paris in the final event of this career. The 3-time Grand Slam champion has confirmed he will retire at the end of his 5th Games. It means the final singles match of his career was against Jordan Thompson in the second round at Queen's in June, when he was forced to retire with a back injury. That injury also led him to withdraw from the singles at Wimbledon, but he did not play a final double match at the venue where he won 2 of his 3 major titles. Murray will play alongside Dan Evans in Paris. The pair have been drawn against Japan's Taro Daniel and Ki Nishikori in the first round, with their match taking place on Sunday. And that's sport news on World Now at 4. We move to the rest of the news after this break. Please stay with us. Welcome back. Now to the rest of the news. Britain's new government said it was dropping its predecessor's query of the International Criminal Court jurisdiction to issue an arrest warrant for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. The ICC's chief prosecutor has requested warrant for Netanyahu and his defense minister, Yoav Gallant, on suspicion of war crimes infuriating Israel and irritating its closest ally, the United States. He requested similar warrants for 3 leaders of the Palestinian militant group, Hamas. Britain, an ICC member state, had asked the court for observations on whether it could exercise jurisdiction over Israelis in circumstances where Palestine cannot exercise criminal jurisdiction over Israeli nationals under the Oslo Accords. But since then, the center-left Labour Party has taken power from the Conservatives in an election, and Prime Minister Keir Starmer's spokesperson told reporters the new government would drop the query in line with long-standing position that it is a matter for the court to decide on. And that was World Now, but before we go, let's take a quick look at the headlines once again. We told you that Tinubu rallies NSA monarchs as hunger protest looms. South Africa appoints first woman Chief Justice. U.S. arrests Mexican drug lord El Mayo and El Chapo's son in Texas. And on sport, Everton signed Napoli midfielder Lindstrom on loan. Remember to visit us on Facebook at Hillstv Abuja, Instagram at Hillstv Abuja, and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Hillstv. I am Jessica Magaji Joseph. Thanks for watching.
Cut.